Good morning, sir.
Morning, beta.
So you're going to start with solutions.
Yes, dear. Solutions and qualitative problems. Vishu, can you just check with Mithilesh and Shashank? Ask them to join fast now. Okay, Shashank is. Anyways, let's begin now. Let's start this chapter here. Keep writing with me. First 15 minutes is more theoretical. So after that, we'll get into problem solving. See, whenever we discuss about a term called solution, we all know that the solution is categorized into three types. One is true solutions, then colloidal solution, and finally suspensions. The major difference between these three is the particle size. The solute size is around 1 to 1000 nanometers. This should be their size, which means an average radius. If you look at the average diameter of that molecule, it should be lying between 1 to 1000 nanometers. Sorry, should be less than 1 nanometer. Should be less than 1 nanometer. If the solute is between 1 to 1000 nanometer, we say it is colloidal form. And if the solute particle is greater than 1000 nanometer, we say it is more of a suspension. For example, milk. Milk is a colloid. Okay. Buttermilk. Buttermilk, अगर उसको अच्छे से churn नहीं किया है, so it will settle down. The particles, the milk particles will settle down. That is a suspension. Sugar water or salt water, that is a true solution. True solution will appear very transparent. Suppose if solvent is water, and water normally is transparent, so if you add a solute to that, the existence of solute is not visible. But when it comes to colloidal solution or suspension, you will be able to differentiate that there is a definite amount of particles present in. Like in the milk, in milk, we will be able to figure out that there are milk particles in that water. Got it? That's why it appears white in color. While on the other hand, true solution, like salt water, you added salt to water, you cannot see with the naked eye how the salt looks like, or either whether there is any salt present in or not, it won't be appeared. Which happens when you have less than 1 nanometer solute size. So if the solute size is so small, it appears to get completely mixed within the solution. See, when a solute mixes completely in the solution, right, and it is not appearing to us, then we say it does not have any phase difference between solute and solvent. Phase difference is a term used when you can see a boundary, a visible boundary is appeared either from the naked eye or with the microscope. If you're able to see any boundary between a solute and solvent particle, we say it has two different phases, or we say there is a phase boundary. But when it comes to true solutions, there is no phase boundary, there is no phase at all. And when solutions does not have a phase difference, we say it is homogeneous solution or homogeneous mixture. Homogeneous का actual definition ये होता है that we say a solution is homogeneous if there is no visible phase difference or phase boundary between solute and solvent. For instance, air around us, air has a mixture of oxygen and nitrogen. Is it homogeneously mixed or heterogeneously mixed? It is homogeneously mixed because we cannot find out any difference between oxygen's molecules and nitrogen molecules, that they are separated by some kind of a boundary. No, we can't be able to find that. That's why they are homogeneous. Usually, mixture of gases is always homogeneous. So as an example, we can say that gas and gas, when they mix, it is always going to be homogeneous. Okay. So what are the other differences? Like I said, in true solutions, we expect the solutions to be homogeneous. Homogeneous means no phase difference. Homogeneous mixture. Got it? And it should be uniformly mixed. Uniformly mixed. Uniformly mixed means if you take salt water, for example, आपने salt add किया पानी में and you dissolved it perfectly. So the taste of salt water, whether you take it from the surface or whether you take it from the bottom, it would be almost the same. है ना? Because see, ऐसे मत सोचना कि सर आपने अच्छे से mix नहीं किया. Yeah, I'm saying considering we have mixed completely and there is no solute left over as visible term in solution. So in that case, definitely वो uniform होगा. So therefore, we can say solute, true solution is always going to be uniformly mixed. Okay, and hence, since there is no phase, we say this is single phase solution. It will be single phase solution. If you see in the colloidal form, it is heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture. And it is uniformly mixed as well. It is also uniformly mixed. Just you can see the example of milk. Milk is uniformly mixed. It is multi-phase. It will have multi-phase solution. And here there is no effect of gravity. No effect of gravity. Milk settle nahi hota hai na. No matter how many days you keep it, milk particles won't settle down at the bottom. And same is the case with true solutions. No effect of gravity. No effect of gravity. While when it comes to suspension, it is also an heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture. It is non-uniformly mixed because you will not see that uniformity properly here. Non-uniformly mixed. And this is also multi-phase. And it will have effect of gravity. So we will see there is an effect of gravity observed. Please make sure everybody write this thing.
So single phase means?
Now tell me, beta, what happened?
So single phase means?
Single phase means where there is no phase boundary, there where you cannot differentiate between solute and solvent in the solution. Okay. Then we say solute and solvent exists just like exist as one particular phase. Like how we have oxygen and nitrogen in air, they exist in one phase. We cannot make any differences between oxygen and nitrogen. Okay, that is called single phase. Faster the better, everyone. Write it down.
Done, sir.
Now, this chapter is only about true solutions. From now onwards, we'll be sticking only to true solutions. So, in your mind, When I talk about true solutions, whenever talk about anything, any concept, आपके दिमाग में यही चलना चाहिए कि this is a true solution. It has single phase. It is homogeneously mixed. It will be uniformly uh, distributed overall solution. Okay. So true solutions can be further classified, or classification of true solutions. Let us see how they are classified. True solutions are classified on basis of two things. One, on the basis of how many number of solutes we have. Second, on the basis of how many phases involved before mixing. Okay. So first is number of components involved. Number of components involved. Okay. Second is number of phases involved before mixing. What does this mean? Number of components involved means, suppose if you take water, you are trying to make soda lime, okay, or rather we'll say lime juice. You are making lime juice. Typically, if you squeeze the lemon properly and only take the without the granular part, or without the pulp, if you just take the liquid and add it to that, and after that आपने क्या किया, थोड़ा salt add किया, then you added some sugar, okay, then you added something, maybe some masala, I don't know, I'm just saying. Consider all of this are not making any new phase, and everything is getting uniformly mixed. So it will appear like a plain water, but how many components it has? Now it has 4 components. Look at it. First, water. Pure water itself is one component. Lime squeeze, lemon squeeze is the second one. Third one is the salt. Fourth one is the sugar. Fifth one, maybe masala or whatever we have added. Hai na? These are called components. See, beta, in a component, there may be multiple number of components. I mean, in a solution, there may be multiple number of components, but there will be only one solvent. What will happen to the rest of them? Rest of them are only termed as solutes. So here, salt, sugar, masala, or lemon squeeze, everything is solute. The solvent is only water. Clear, students? In generally, whenever we talk about solution, we will always have one solvent, and rest all will be solutes. So if you have one solute, one solvent, then we say the solution is binary, because it has only 2 components. So when you have 2 components, we say it is a binary solution. 3 components, we call it as ternary solution, quaternary solution, or polynary solution. Is this clear? So therefore, if I'll make it as a simple table, number of components, if you have number of components and type of solution. So if you see there are 2 components, we say it is a binary solution. If you have 3, we say ternary solution. If we have 4, we say it is quaternary solution. If we have n, we say it is polynary solution. Okay. So generally, the first classification is on the basis of how many components that are involved. Okay. Second depends upon what was the solute and what is the solvent. Now see how I'm categorizing. First हमने solutions के बारे में पढ़ा, उसमें से true solutions पे आए. अभी true solution में भी पढ़ा कि 2 classification होते हैं. उसमें से बाइनरी, टर्शरी, आई मीन टर्नरी, क्वार्टरनरी, ये सब हो सकते हैं। ये सब नहीं पढ़ेंगे हम लोग, सिर्फ बाइनरी पढ़ेंगे इसमें से। सो इमेजिन वी आर स्टिकिंग ऑन टू दिस एंटायर चैप्टर, वी आर स्टिकिंग ऑन टू ट्रू सॉल्यूशंस एंड बाइनरी सॉल्यूशंस, व्हिच मींस एक ही सॉल्यूट है, एक सॉल्वेंट है, बस। ओके, सो इन केस ऑफ बाइनरी सॉल्यूशंस, in case of binary solution, we have one solute and one solvent, one solute and one solvent. Okay, if you have one solute, one solvent, the solute and solvent may be in different phases. We don't know that solute and solvent has to have in a same phase initially before mixing. Okay, so हो सकता है एक solid को आपने mix किया गैस में, या हो सकता है गैस को मिक्स किया आपने लिक्विड में, लिक्विड को मिक्स किया लिक्विड में. सो वी कैन हैव हाउ मेनी सच कॉम्बिनेशंस? वी हैव 3 phases, सॉलिड, लिक्विड, गैस. तो हमारे पास 9 such combinations are possible, है ना? So because you can combine in any different forms, permutations are also allowed. So in that case, we will have 9 such combinations. So what I can say from here, have you all written till this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. So what we can say here is based upon solute and solvent, we can have the type of a solution and we will see examples. Usually आपको examples identify करने आने चाहिए. So write it down. If we have solute, we have solute, solute and solvent. We have solute and solvent and few examples. If you look at this, solid and gas, liquid and gas, gas and gas. This is the first combination. Second, solid and liquid, liquid and liquid, gas and liquid. Next, solid and solid, liquid and solid, gas and solid. These are the 9 combinations we can expect. First, a solid type of particles present in gas. Normally, we see this is called smog. One of the examples is smog. So, इसमें क्या है, एक बहुत ही थिन डस्ट पार्टिकल्स, जो इतने छोटे डस्ट पार्टिकल्स है जो हम लोग को एयर में समझ में भी नहीं आएगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इन फ्रंट ऑफ अस, डू यू थिंक दिस इज अ प्योर एयर? ओनली gases like oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide? No, there are small particles which can't be seen. That is a form called smog. And then we have camphor. Okay, if you see camphor ke vapors, if you look at it, it is similar to that, where you have gas in which this solid is mixed and it is in a very small granular form, so it is not appeared. Okay, or we can say iodine in nitrogen gas. I2, if you have it in nitrogen gas, that also is an example of solid getting mixed in gas. Next, liquid getting mixed in gas, that is fog. Early morning we see that fog, which is during the winter season, in the early mornings you will see that. Next, humidity. Humidity is water content in air, right? Next, chloroform in N2 gas. Chloroform distributed in N2 gas also appears like a true solution, which is liquid in gas. Gas in gas, best example, air. Solid in liquid, best example, you can see salt, sugar water, salt water, sugar water, salt or sugar in water. Liquid in liquid, ethanol in water. Got it? So all the hard drinks, those are all liquid in liquid solutions. Got it? Next, we have gas in liquid, aerated drinks like carbon dioxide mixed in juices. Aerated drinks, what we call it as cool drinks. Then O2 in oceans or seas. O2 in seas and oceans. Next, solid in solid. Solid in solid, we see all alloys. Okay, all the utensils which we use, bronze, maybe brass, etc. Okay. You can see bronze, brass. These are all true solutions. Liquid in solid. Liquid in solid, you will normally see when you have a dental what do you say, paste which we use in our tooth. It is dental amalgam, dental amalgams. Okay, mostly we take some amount of silver and mercury mixed together and let it solidify. Next, gas in solid. Gas in solid is like hydrogen gas adsorbed on metal surface. Okay, these are a few examples of, you know, different phases and how they exist in the form of solution.
So वो metal palladium हो सकता है ना?
Platinum, palladium, nickel, anything. Finished, everyone?
Yes, sir.
We will be sticking to the binary solutions in this chapter. No. In binary solutions, again, I'll have three cases. Okay. Like I can have a solute when you add it to solvent. It might happen that there is no dissociation of solute. For example, sugar. शुगर को वाटर में डालो तो शुगर कोई फर्दर पार्ट्स में नहीं टूट रहा है. It is not getting dissociated. Such type of solute is called non-electrolytic solute, or non-electrolyte is the word which we use. Okay. Second, it might happen that the solution which you are adding or solute which we are adding may be volatile or non-volatile. So यहाँ पे और एक टर्म आ गया बेटा, दो टर्म इंपॉर्टेंट है यहाँ पे. What is volatility? What is this electrolytic nature? Okay. We say something is volatile if it evaporates on its own at room temperature. For example, water. क्या water एक volatile liquid है? Yes, it is. At room temperature, it is getting dissociated. It is getting slowly evaporated. है कि नहीं? So water is a volatile liquid. But if you take maybe mercury का volatility बहुत कम है. We don't say no, but we say the volatility is very, very less. But right, but what about this fork? Okay, or sorry, whatever this knife. So if you see this knife, this is non-volatile. Got it? This is also an alloy. This is also a mixture. It is also a true solution. It is a mixture of multiple solids and solids. Got it? But it is completely non-volatile. So we can have cases in a binary solution where one may be volatile, the other may be non-volatile, or both may be non-volatile, or both may be volatile. Okay. So case one, what I'll take here. Sorry, first let me write those definitions. Volatility, ability to evaporate at room temperature. Next, electrolyte. Okay, electrolyte which dissociates in aqueous solutions. So which brings to the case 1 is if we have solute and solvent both being solute being non-volatile, solvent being volatile, and this is non-volatile and this is non-electrolyte, which means it is not dissociating into ions. And solvent also we are assuming it to be non-electrolyte. This is case 1. Best example is sugar in water. Now water is solvent here and the solvent is volatile here. Okay, while sugar is non-volatile and also non-electrolyte because it does not dissociate into further ions. Second case, case 2. Sorry. Are you able to see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Case 2, if we have solute being non-volatile, but this is an electrolyte. Second, what is happening? And solvent on the other hand is volatile and non-electrolyte. Best example is salt in water. Correct. Here I can take not just sugar beta, I can take urea, I can take sucrose, cane sugar, and all of this, starch, glucose. So any of that, we will have this combination. Okay. Next, the third case, which is more important for this chapter, is when the solute is volatile and this is volatile and this may be electrolyte, volatile and non-electrolyte. While in the case of solvent, this is volatile and non-electrolyte. For instance, if you take ethanol, C2H5OH, ethanol in water, ethanol is also volatile in nature, and you're adding it to water. It is not going to dissociate anything. Correct? Then you will see this. We can have last case also, but I'm just orally telling you that just like we have a case here, non-electrolyte, we can have an electrolytic case also. Okay. So volatile, which is non-electrolyte, got it? And as well as volatile, which is electrolyte, as well as volatile. So that is the solute we can observe. So my point is, in this chapter, we would be mainly dealing with this kind of cases where you have solvent being non-volatile, solvent being non-electrolyte and volatile, and rest of the cases is this, where both of them are volatile and both of them are non-electrolyte. This is the major case we'll be using, where we can add benzene, which is also volatile, and add it to tolling. Okay. One second. I will change the sharing.
So, but an alcohol H plus will dissociate, no?
No, beta. Alcohol does not dissociate in water. Which is more acidic, alcohol or water?
It's water.
Water. So
Water.
how can acid? How can that? If you add acid to water, it will dissociate. Okay. I hope all of you can see that. Yeah. Finished, everyone? So these are the
Benzene and
three
toluene.
cases. Huh?
Sir, how it will be possible in benzene and toluene?
Both of them are non-electrolyte. Both of them are volatile. That is the same case, right? Benzene also evaporates at room temperature. Toluene also evaporates at room temperature. So both of them are volatile and both of them are non-electrolyte. They don't dissociate in one another. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, further to learn this chapter and to precisely stick to these cases, we need to revise ourselves what was the strength of the solution. And if you recall, strength represents concentration. That's it, right? So which we call it as the amount of solute dissolved per certain unit of solvent or solution. Certain unit of solvent or solution. We have come across many such strength terms, which includes mole fraction, which we usually write it as X, then molality, which we write it as small m, third molarity, which we write it as capital M, fourth ppm, that is parts per million. This is also a representation. Fifth, percentage weight by weight. Sixth, percentage weight by volume. And seventh, percentage volume by volume. These are the major strength terms or concentration terms which we have been used. So this is the first thing you need to revise. This all thing we have studied in mole concept. Next, second thing you must recall ourselves is what happens on dilution. Under dilution, we know that M1V1 should be equal to M2V2. Under dilution, number of moles of solutes remains same. Solute remains constant. So this is generally what we know. Quickly, we'll try to revise the formulas based on some questions. So write 1 or 2 questions, simple questions. Find molarity of H2SO4 in 98% weight by volume and 98% weight by weight with density of solution being 1.2%, sorry, 1.2 gram per ml. Write it down. The minute a question comes where you have percentage weight by weight or percentage weight by volume given, you should immediately be able to recall how to relate with molarity. अगर आप भूल गए हो मोल कॉन्सेप्ट को अभी याद कर लो. This is a part which is complete repeated from mole concept. So molarity and percentage weight are related in this way. So molarity is equal to percentage weight by weight into density into 10 divided by molecular weight of the solute. Or molarity can be given as percentage weight by volume into 10 divided by molecular weight. Okay. अगर weight by weight दिया है तो density चाहिए होगा. Weight by volume दिया है तो density का term जरूरी नहीं. So what is a product you what is the answer you will get here? So this is 98 multiplied by 1.2 into 10 divided by molar mass, which is 98. So what is the value we are getting? 12 molar. So molarity is 12. While here it is 98 into 10 divided by 98. So this will get cancelled. So it is 10 molar. So depending upon what is given, use the formula accordingly. Finished. Then those who are finished, do the next question. If the mole fraction of solute in aqueous solution is 0.4, you have to find the molality. Okay.
सर मोरालिटी सॉल्वेंट्स के लिए होता है.
Molality
नहीं कुछ नहीं
definition याद नहीं है.
सर, नहीं याद है वो. मतलब वो सॉल्वेंट के लिए होता है ना, इसलिए इसे कंफ्यूज.
कोई भी concentration term solvent के लिए नहीं होता है, solute के लिए होता है. Definition क्या होता है concentration का? कि amount of solute present in solution or solvent. Okay.
सर मोरालिटी मतलब मोल्स ऑफ सॉल्यूट पर केजी होती है सॉल्वेंट.
तो किसके लिए डिफाइंड? सोल्यूट के लिए, सॉल्वेंट के लिए?
हाँ सर.
चलो करो. If anyone has got any answer, let me know. Look at this. We have given molality, we have given mole fraction as 0.4. So you can write this as number of moles of A by number of moles of A plus number of moles of B is equal to 0.4 by 1. That same one you can represent as 0.4 plus 0.6. Now, if you correlate both of them, you can see this will be the number of moles of solvent and this will be the number of moles of solute. So from here, we can relate that number of moles of A, which is solute, is 0.4. Number of moles of solvent B, which is 0.6. So weight of the solvent kitna ho jayega? Weight of the solvent will be number of moles of solvent into molecular weight of solvent, which is 0.6. और यहाँ पे mention किया गया कि that this is aqueous solution 18. So this is the number of moles, weight of the solvent. You know the weight of the solvent, what will be the molality then? So molality will be equal to number of moles of A divided by weight of solvent in kgs. What we have it in grams, so therefore it is 0.4 divided by 0.6 multiplied by 18 into 10 raised to power of 3. Because यहाँ पर ग्राम्स को केजी में कन्वर्ट करेंगे तो -3 आएगा, वो -3 ऊपर जाके +3 हो जाएगा. So which makes it 400 divided by 0.6 into 18 or 4000 divided by 6 into 18. So if you do that, you will get this as molality. जल्दी करो.
So would Na plus NB 1 क्यों लिया?
0.4 को मैंने सिर्फ 0.4 by 1 लिखा, उसमें कोई गलत है नहीं ना? 0.4 is the mole fraction given ना बेटे. So I'm just writing that as 0.4 by 1. और 1 को मैंने इस तरीके से लिख लिया ताकि इन दोनों को रिलेट कर पाऊं. Okay, that's a simple technique you can use to calculate.
Yes, sir.
So 37 आता है.
37. Okay. (37 molal). 37 molal or small m. The reverse should also be easy for you. मतलब अगर मैंने मोलैलिटी दिया है तो आपको मोल फ्रैक्शन निकालना आना चाहिए. कर सकते हो? You do it. Find mole fraction of solute in aqueous solution given molality is 0.01. मोलैलिटी 0.01. चलो करो इसको, बिल्कुल सेम टेक्निक यूज करो ऊपर जैसे आपने यूज किया और कंप्लीट करो.
So 0.01 into weight.
Sir, 18 by 118.
No beta. We need complete mole fraction. can write this. Now relate the same thing with this 0.01 divided by 1. So which means number of moles of solute is 0.01. Weight of solvent is 1 kg. 1 kg means 1000 grams. So number of moles of solvent will be how much? 1000 divided by 18. So we got number of moles of solute and solvent. When you get number of moles of solute and solvent, how do we calculate the mole fraction? Number of moles of solute by number of moles of solute plus number of moles of solvent. So which is 0.01 divided by 0.01 plus 1000 by 18. 1000 by 18 is approximately 55.5. Approximately 55.5. Okay. Yeah, 55.5 is a very big number in compared to 0.01. उसको मैं ऐसे ही रहने देता हूँ ताकि चीजें इजीली कैंसिल हो जाए. तो इसके सामने ये बहुत इग्नोरेंट टर्म है. So I can ignore that. So I'll get this as 0.01 divided by 1000 divided by 18. So 18 ऊपर आ जाएगा. So mole fraction would be equal to 18 into 10 raised to power of minus 5 or 1.8 into 10 raised to power of minus 4. So that is a mole fraction. Clear?
Yes, sir.
These are very, very typical JEE and NEET questions. So you should be able to do this faster, everyone. Okay. Molarity को मोल फ्रैक्शन में कन्वर्ट करना, मोल फ्रैक्शन को मोलालिटी में कन्वर्ट करना, परसेंटेज वेट्स को यूज करना, परसेंटेज वेट बाय वॉल्यूम को यूज करना. Okay. ये आना चाहिए आप. Learned it?
Sir, I got answer 1.79 into 10 raised to minus 4.
Same thing, beta. You have not ignored it. That's
So, but I have used another method.
what did you do? Tell me.
Sir, I used the molarity formula, and
Correct.
that I took 0.01 directly the molarity, and I've placed NaS, Xn, and Ws 1 minus X and solved.
1 minus X.
Yes, sir.
What does this X stand for? X is mole fraction.
Sir, X is Na, and X minus 1 is, sorry, 1 minus X is Nb.
Okay, but that is the number of moles of solvent. Okay, go ahead. Then
So then I've placed in the molality formula and I've got that answer.
so molality is equal to number of moles of solute divided by, this is weight of the solvent. So I can write this as number of moles 1 minus Ns, which will be the number of moles of solvent into molality, which is, sorry, molecular weight.
Into
which is
18 into 10 raised to
10
minus
raised to
3.
power of minus 3. This is the same thing, beta. Good. Okay. So you can use this as well, except that how do you know number of moles of solute? Here mole fraction is given, right? Only in this question, because this value is very small and ignorant, you are able to take this as number of moles of solute, है ना? But ये actually में mole fraction है, so वो directly यहाँ पर apply नहीं कर सकते आप, correct? मतलब ये इसमें apply कर सकते हो, but number of moles of solute नहीं पता हमको. This is unknown, ना? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. Next question. If you have molality and molarity to be compared, then how do you do that? Write down. For an aqueous solution of of Ki, 20% weight by weight, 20% weight by weight, and density of solution is 1.2 gram per ml. Find molality and molarity given molecular formula of molecular weight of Ki as 166. Okay. See students, whenever you have percentage weight by weight and density, what do we calculate? We can easily calculate molarity. इससे पहले first question हमने वही किया. So first thing what we will do is try to calculate the molarity. So molarity is equal to percentage weight by weight into density into 10 divided by molecular weight. Okay. So percentage weight by weight is 20 into density is 1.2 into 10 divided by molecular weight, which is 166. Got it? So on solving all of this, I'm directly writing the answer now. On solving all of this, I'm getting it as 1.45 molar. So आप हमेशा molarity को find करो algorithm. Okay. Once you get molarity, now you can get molality by using a formula 1000 times of molarity divided by 1000 times of density minus molarity into molecular weight of solute. ये पहले भी मैंने कराया था. If you use this formula directly, you will be able to get molality, which is equal to 1000 times of molarity, 1.45, divided by 1000 times of density, which is 1.2, minus 1.45 into 166, which is the molecular weight of solute. Again, on solving this, we are getting it as 1.506. This is molality. Small m. Okay. Make a note, everyone. Just be careful with using the formulas. Formulas को अच्छे से देखो, note करो. Finished, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now give the heading as vapor pressure. Now listen up. Imagine I took a glass and added some water to it. And this is all, let's say, water. It is an open glass. Since it is an open glass, at room temperature, I can see slowly some amount of water will start evaporating from the surface, right? The phenomena of water getting, because phenomena of water being volatile to evaporate on the surface, this is called as evaporation, or also use the term vaporization. So it is undergoing vaporization. Okay. Now I'm taking the second situation. I'm taking the second situation where same water which is evaporating, correct? But I ensured that here the lid is closed. The lid is closed. Will the evaporation stops? No, right? Evaporation will still continue. So some amount of particles will come on the surface. So evaporation is still happening. So let me call that evaporation is happening. But what happens? Now there are some water particles which are accumulated. पहले कैसे थे? Water molecules were able to come out of it and go away. But now water molecules cannot go anywhere else. So they will be stuck in there. Now what would happen? A moment will come where these particles will all again start moving back into the solution. Okay, so they will start moving back into the solution. So there is an evaporation which is happening, and then there is one more process now which is happening, that is condensation. It is undergoing condensation also. So you will see evaporation and condensation both taking place. And the third situation will come. This is the eventual situation which will lead us to that in this same closed container, you will come across a particular amount where the number of water particles are sufficient enough that the rate of condensation and the rate of the rate of vaporization and the rate of condensation is same. So rate of vaporization is equal to rate of condensation. When such thing happens, the pressure exerted by water here becomes constant. Clear? Yes, sir. So this is what would happen in this situation.
सर उसमें भी वाटर है ना लास्ट में?
हाँ बेटा, गलती हो गई कलर वाटर के बिना नहीं है कुछ. So point is, we will have water vapor on the surface of the water, but वो water vapor है ना, अभी उसका प्रेशर कांस्टेंट हो जाएगा. ये दिमाग में बैठा है कि नहीं सबको?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. So this constant pressure which is applied on the surface of the liquid is called vapor pressure. Is called vapor pressure. So vapor pressure तभी बोलेंगे when the equilibrium has achieved. What equilibrium? When water is trying to get into liquid, sorry, when liquid is trying to get into vapor or vapor is trying to get into liquid, both the rates are equal. So which means you can write down the definition now. Definition of vapor pressure, that the pressure exerted by the vapor phase of a solution of a liquid, by the vapor phase of a liquid at equilibrium at a given temperature. At a given temperature is vapor pressure. Is vapor pressure of liquid. So this is the definition. what is vapor pressure. I hope all of you understood that. So as an example, if you see H2O liquid, if it is in equilibrium with H2O gas, then the pressure exerted by H2O, this is called the vapor pressure of water. Vapor pressure of H2O. Okay, and equilibrium is only achieved when it is a closed container, है ना. Equilibrium पढ़ते ही है हम लोग closed containers के लिए. Open containers के लिए equilibrium exist नहीं होता. Clear? Any doubt here?
No, sir.
Conceptually समझना बहुत important है. इसमें यहाँ से पूरा conceptual है, को अच्छे से समझना है point by point, तभी आप questions को relate कर पाओ. Okay. So we got an idea like what is vapor pressure. Next, this vapor pressure might happen even in solutions or with pure solvent, है ना? For example, if I take pure water में भी evaporation हो रहा है. If I take salt water में भी water का evaporation हो रहा है. So if we are measuring vapor pressure for a pure solvent, we say that it is a saturated vapor pressure. ठीक है? Vapor pressure, next point, vapor pressure of pure solvent is called saturated vapor pressure. It is called saturated vapor pressure. Okay. So vapor pressure of pure solvent is called saturated vapor pressure. And usually we represent that with this H2O naught. When you use the word naught, it is saturated and only for solvents. Only for solvents. So remember, when I'm using this naught means it is for saturated. And if at all I only use this way, this is vapor pressure of some liquid solution. Clear? So not जब भी मैं लिखता हूँ, इसका मतलब आपको क्लियर हो जाना चाहिए कि मैं सैचुरेटेड वेपर प्रेशर की बात कर रहा हूं ऑफ ए प्योर सॉल्वेंट. क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स? अभी नाउ इट कम्स टू द इसकी वेपर प्रेशर जनरेट हो क्यों रहा है. व्हाट आर द फैक्टर्स दिस वेपर प्रेशर इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन.
So लेकिन सॉल्ट वाटर में भी सिर्फ वाटर ही इवेपोरेट होता है ना.
यस बेटा, तो उससे भी तो वेपर आ रहा है ना. वाटर वेपर तो बन रहा है ना.
दोनों एक ही होगा ना फिर.
कैसे होगा? क्योंकि सॉल्ट ऐड करने पर उसका वेपर प्रेशर कम हो जाता है. ओके, वही हम लोग पढ़ेंगे थ्रूआउट दिस चैप्टर. दैट इज व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न, दैट हाउ मच अमाउंट ऑफ वेपर प्रेशर इज डिक्रीजिंग, करेक्ट, whenever you add some solute to it. Now, if you look at this, suppose in water, why is the tendency coming कि water evaporate हो जाए? ये tendency आता किधर है? The tendency comes first from the surface particles. Water है, surface of the water is in direct contact with the atmosphere, है ना? करेक्ट. और एनी एटमॉस्फेरिक एयर, आपने बोला सर मैं आपने तो लेकिन क्लोज कंटेनर किया. क्लोज कंटेनर किया मतलब यहाँ पे वैक्यूम थोड़ी है. इट इज नॉट वैक्यूम हियर. हियर देयर इज सम एयर प्रेजेंट. ठीक है, तो एयर इज, आई एम सेइंग इट इज एन एटमॉस्फेरिक, it is an atmospheric ambience. So in that atmospheric ambience, there is a certain exchange of energy between the surface particles and the atmosphere. Agreed? ये जो surface particles है, इसके ऊपर जो surface particles है उसमें और बाहर की जो air particles है उनके बीच में there is a certain heat exchange. राइट, कि वो पार्टिकल्स सॉल्यूशन को, वो पार्टिकल सरफेस को थोड़ा सा एनर्जी देंगे जिसके कारण वो ऊपर आ जाए. दिस इज पॉइंट नंबर 1. सेकेंड थिंग, the liquid particles which are present inside, जितने भी water particles है, assume these are all water particles, ठीक है, are they still, सारे water particles liquid state में क्या still होते हैं?
No, sir.
No,
No,
right?
sir.
They are continuously moving in random motion, है ना? तो ऐसा हो सकता है, देखो इसको ट्रैक करते हैं अच्छे से, ऐसा हो सकता है कि ये पार्टिकल यहाँ पे जाके कोलाइड किया इसको, फिर ये इधर आके इसको कोलाइड किया, ये कोलिजन इतना ज्यादा अमाउंट ऑफ एनर्जी दिया कि ये फाइनली बाहर ही आ गया. समझ में आया? दैट देयर इज अ सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ वेलोसिटी अ पार्टिकल माइट अचीव, दैट इट माइट कम अवे फ्रॉम द सरफेस कंप्लीटली. इतना अमाउंट ऑफ स्पीड मिल गया उसको कि वो बाहर आ सकता है. सो देयर आर टू फैक्टर्स बाय व्हिच वेपर प्रेशर इज डेवलप्ड. ओके, सो लेट मी राइट ऑन दैट. Vapor pressure is developed. Vapor pressure is developed because of following reasons. First, heat exchange on the surface of liquid. Second, due to sufficient speed attained by particles in bulk. So if they attain sufficient speed, they might have a tendency to come out. Okay, so vapor pressure, I can say, depends upon escaping tendency of liquid, how fast it can escape out. Okay, second thing, in the volatility of liquid. Volatility implies heat exchange on surface. For example, beta, this knife also has surface particles, and this is at a lower temperature. Got it? This is normally, now I ate something with this, so it is at a very considerately room temperature से काफी lower temperature पे. So it could use some surface energy, right? Particles, air particles से थोड़ा सा energy borrow करके वो ऊपर आ सकता है particle, but उतना amount of energy sufficient नहीं है. That is what I meant volatility. So इसके पास उतना volatility नहीं है that it can accept that energy and escape out. But water, if any particle which we say they are volatile, if any solvent which we say they are volatile, which implies कि उनके surface पे जितना भी amount of energy मिल जाएगा, that is sufficient to escape them out of that surface. ठीक है? So these are the two major factors vapor pressure will get influenced with. Clear, everybody? Yeah? Okay. Second, next point, vapor pressure depends only on temperature. Depends only on temperature factor and not on the amount or size and shape of solvent container. Suppose water, for instance, if at all I open this bottle, okay, and I'm keeping some water in that small, what do you say, this bottle top also. The top has some water, this also has some water. अगर मैं इसको close कर दूं और इधर से इसको भी close कर दूं, दोनों cases में, vapor pressure इसमें और इसमें डिफरेंट रहेगा या सेम रहेगा?
सेम रहेगा।
सेम रहेगा। वेपर प्रेशर सेम रहेगा। क्यों? क्योंकि वेपर प्रेशर ओनली डिपेंड्स अपॉन द नेचर और द टेम्परेचर एट विच इट इज प्रेजेंट, दैट्स ऑल। एक्सचेंज करने के लिए उसको कितना एनर्जी चाहिए बस, क्योंकि लिक्विड का जो मोबिलिटी है, पार्टिकल्स का जो मोबिलिटी है, मोशन है, वो भी टेम्परेचर पे डिपेंड करता है। सरफेस पे एक्सचेंज करने के लिए, हीट एक्सचेंज करने के लिए भी टेम्परेचर ही इंपॉर्टेंट है। सो द ओनली फैक्टर इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन इज टेम्परेचर। ओके, बोलेंगे सर यहाँ पे तो वेपर काफी कम बनेगा, यहाँ पे वेपर ज्यादा बनेगा, लेकिन यहाँ पर सरफेस भी ज्यादा है ना, तो उतना प्रेशर देने के लिए उतने वेपर्स बनने चाहिए। वेपर ज्यादा है बट प्रेशर सेम है, यहाँ पर भी वेपर्स कम है बट प्रेशर सेम है। Is it clear? So whether you take a glass of water, whether you take a container, a spoonful of water, correct? The vapor pressure of the water does not change as long as temperature is constant. Clear, students?
एक डाउट है
बोलो बेटा।
सर, अगर वो जो लिक्विड होगा उसमें हमने ऐड कुछ बाहर से कुछ ऐड किया और मतलब वो डिजोल्व नहीं हुआ, तो भी फिर वेपर प्रेशर कांस्टेंट रहेगा?
देखो बेटा, कोई भी सब्सटेंस जब डिसॉल्व नहीं होता है, वी एक्सपेक्ट कि वो सीधा सीधा आके बॉटम में सेटल डाउन हो जाए। ओके,
हाँ सर।
ठीक है। अगर वो बॉटम में सेटल डाउन होता है तो वेपराइजेशन चेंज नहीं होगा। बट सपोज उसका डेंसिटी बहुत कम है और सरफेस पे आके बैठ गया, ठीक है, सरफेस पे आके बैठ गया। ओशंस में एक्वाटिक लाइफ, मतलब यू विल सी लॉट ऑफ harm is happening to aquatic life, especially for whales and very big fishes, because they need lot of oxygen. बट सरफेस पे अगर प्लास्टिक फ्लोट होने लग जाएगा, ठीक है, तो ऑक्सीजन का एक्सचेंज नहीं होगा ना वाटर के अंदर, द क्वांटिटी ऑफ ऑक्सीजन डिक्रीजेस एंड इट इज वेरी डेंजर फॉर द एक्वाटिक लाइफ। क्लियर? सो व्हाट यू आर सेइंग, you need to be very considerate on what type of substance you are adding. अगर आपने कोई फ्लोटिंग वाला सब्सटेंस ऐड किया तो वहां पर वेपर प्रेशर का पॉइंट ही नहीं रहा है, क्योंकि वेपराइज होने के लिए सरफेस ही नहीं मिल रहा है ना उसको, ठीक है। बट अगर वो डिसॉल्व होके नीचे चला जाता है, कोई पत्थर डालते हो वाटर में कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, प्लास्टिक डालते हो तो काफी फर्क पड़ता है। ओके,
हाँ सर।
right? So this is the vapor pressure, how it is dependent on temperature only and not on the size and shape of the container which we are taking. Now students, यहाँ से थोड़ा सा डेरिवेशन को समझते हैं। इतना लिखा सबने? Everybody has written this? Shall we go
सर,
ahead?
जो हम जो ऊपर लीड लगाएंगे, अगर उसका साइज मॉलिक्यूलर साइज से बड़ा होगा तो भी फिर मतलब वो वेपर प्रेशर कांस्टेंट रहेगा?
इससे बोल, लीड लगाएंगे,
जो ऊपर लीड होगा उसमें अगर हमने छोटा होल किया होगा और लेकिन वो मतलब मॉलिक्यूलर साइज से बड़ा होगा, तो फिर वो कंपेयर मतलब दोनों कंपैरिजन में जब लीड सेम होगा तभी मतलब वो भी कांस्टेंट रहेगा?
थोड़ा आराम से बोलना, वो समझे नहीं।
सर, मतलब एक इसमें लीड पूरा लगाया हुआ है और दूसरे इसमें हम जो लीड है वो उसको मतलब ऊपर से जो होल कर रहे हैं लेकिन वो मॉलिक्यूलर साइज से बड़ा है, तो भी फिर वेपर प्रेशर कांस्टेंट रहेगा?
अच्छा अच्छा, ओके, हाँ, अच्छा क्वेश्चन। सुनो, देखो यहाँ पर मैंने इसको ओपन कर दिया, ठीक है। अब बोलोगे सर ये तो क्लोज कंटेनर नहीं है। ओके, देखो बेटा, नॉर्मली क्या है, ऑन एन एवरेज आई एम सेइंग कि जब ये वेपर बन रहा है ऊपर, देखो इसको मैं लिख के बता देता हूँ, इससे थोड़ा क्लियर हो जाएगा आपको। सपोज मैंने ओपन ग्लास ही लगा दिया यहाँ पर, ठीक है। सो एक्सचेंज हो रहा है और एवोपरेशन जो है ना, इट्स अ वेरी स्लो प्रोसेस। एवोपरेशन जो होता है बहुत ही स्लो प्रोसेस होता है, ठीक है। अब एवोपरेशन जब स्लो प्रोसेस है तो यहाँ पे सरफेस के पार्टिकल्स बनेंगे और इतना प्रेशर नहीं होगा कि वो फट से बाहर चले जाएंगे, समझा? क्लियर?
हाँ सर।
बहुत 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 स्लोली जाते हैं। तो आप ओपन ग्लास भी रखोगे ना तो उसके सरफेस के ऊपर वेपर प्रेशर लग रहा है और उसको हम लोग इक्विलिब्रियम प्रेशर की तरह ही मानते हैं। ठीक है,
ओके सर।
clear? Theoretically it should be closed, but even if it is open, right, it is not going to make much difference. अभी भी उनके ऊपर प्रेशर कांस्टेंट ही लग रहा है। समझ में आया?
हाँ सर।
ये
Sir, if
ड्यूरिंग द
that
क्वेश्चंस आल्सो
open
इट,
vessel,
भूमिका टेल मी।
sir, if that open vessel is kept in a windy place, then it will be different each time, right?
वेरी लेस बेटा, मतलब वाटर जैसे सॉल्वेंट के लिए बहुत ही कम इफेक्ट आएगा। हाँ, इफेक्ट का तब आएगा तब volatility of the solvent is very high, like fuming sulfuric acid or cold drink for that matter। ठीक है, got it? या कोई कैम्फर है फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ठीक है, जो बहुत ज्यादा वोलेटाइल होते हैं ना उनके लिए फर्क पड़ता है, बट जो नॉर्मल सोल्यूट्स लेते हैं, जो सॉल्वेंट्स लेते हैं हम लोग, दे आर वेरी स्लो वोलेटाइल्स, उनका एवापोरेशन बहुत कम है। तो आप ओपन ग्लास में भी आप मेजर करो, इट विल बी द सेम थिंग। ओके,
Yes, sir.
सो माय व्हाट आई एम सेइंग स्टूडेंट्स, आप लोग ना पहले ये सारे जो इफ एंड बट्स वाले केसेस है ना उसको थोड़ा वेट करो, बिकॉज दैट इज व्हाट यू विल लर्न इन दिस चैप्टर, लाइक व्हाट इफ दिस, व्हाट इफ दैट, करेक्ट? एंड my bond is first try to make sure you understand the basic definition theoretical definition clear hona chahiye। okay, now coming to this mathematical terms kya kya pata hona chahiye, let us see that mathematical terms first, how if H2O liquid is evaporating to give H2O gas, and this direction it is vaporization, this direction it is condensation। okay, we know that generally for any substance I can write dg is equal to vdp minus sdt। ये हम लोग लिख सकते हैं ना, थर्मोडायनेमिक्स में हमने डिराइव किया था। okay,
यस सर।
dg is equal to vdp minus sdt। so in a chemical reaction जो G होता है वो क्या होता है, प्रोडक्ट माइनस रिएक्टेंट होता है ना। सो फॉर अ वेरी स्मॉल चेंज ऑफ डेल्टा G there must be small change of delta V into dP minus delta S into dt। यहाँ पे delta V is the change in the volume of the solution in the of the container, and delta S is the change in the entropy of the reaction or physical change, whatever that is happening, and delta G is the same thing, change in the free energy of products minus reactants। okay, now if at all I take this delta T on this side, I will get this as delta V into delta P by delta T minus delta S। This is what I'll have at equilibrium। At equilibrium delta G will be equal to 0, so which means d of delta G by dt will also be equal to 0। so from here I can get delta S is equal to delta V into dP by dt। I could write this, I will write this as equation 1। keep writing with me, I will understood so far?
यस सर।
So from here I can say that dP by dt can be written as delta S by delta V। इसको मैं लिख सकता हूँ delta S by delta V। अच्छा, what is delta S of the reaction here beta? Basic definition of entropy is that ds is equal to dq by t, and if it is happening, and dq को मैं लिख सकता हूँ enthalpy के terms में if it is for a chemical reaction और chemical physical change और chemical reaction के लिए मैं हम लोग लिख सकते हैं delta S is equal to delta H by T, and here delta H is of delta H of vaporization, so that will be equal to delta H of vaporization by T लिख सकते हैं ना। So let me write the same thing here, so I can write this as 1 by delta V into delta H of vaporization divided by T। clear?
वो dp by dt है ना सर?
कहाँ पे, हाँ dt है, dp by dt। ठीक है, डेल्टा V क्या होता है अभी देखो, डेल्टा V विल बी इक्वल टू V ऑफ द फाइनल माइनस V इनिशियल ऑफ द रिएक्शन। देखो इनिशियली हमने सिर्फ वाटर लिया था, राइट बेटा, वाटर लिया था, वाटर का कंटेंट, लेट से मैंने इतना वाटर का कंटेंट लिया था। जब वो वेपर में बदलेगा तो यार कंटेनर पूरा भर जाएगा ना। सो कैन आई से दैट वेपर का, फॉर एग्जांपल यहां पर यही देख लो, अगर मैंने इतना सा भी पानी लिया तो और उससे वेपर बना, वेपर तो पूरा जितना ओपन स्पेस है वो पूरा ऑक्यूपाई करता है, राइट एवरीबॉडी, आई होप यू अंडरस्टूड दैट। सो फाइनल वॉल्यूम इज ह्यूज कंपेयर टू इनिशियल वॉल्यूम। So I can say that this initial value can be ignored. Initial value is only of liquid ना, और फाइनल वॉल्यूम एक वेपर जैसा है ना, मैं वेपर को एक आइडियल गैस की तरह मानता हूं। सो आई कैन राइट फाइनल वॉल्यूम एज nRT by P, ये मैं लिख सकता हूं ना। Here assuming water vapor as ideal gas, ठीक है। So if I use that, I can write this as dP by dt is equal to 1 by nRT into P into delta V of vapor, delta H of vaporization by T. So if I bring this P to the other end, so I'll get this as dP by P is equal to delta H of vaporization divided by nR into 1 by T dt, and I integrate this, okay, integrate this from P1 to P2, right, and here it is from temperature T1 to T2. So I will get ln P2 by P1 is equal to delta H of vaporization. Usually बेटा delta H of vaporization per mole जो होता है that is usually always given, और उसको हम लोग नॉट की तरह रिप्रेजेंट करेंगे।
सर टी स्क्वायर आएगा ना नीचे,
क्या बेटा?
डिनोमिनेटर में टी स्क्वायर आना चाहिए।
हाँ टी स्क्वायर। सो डेल्टा एच ऑफ वेप, ये नॉट जो मैंने लिखा दैट इज ऑलवेज रिप्रेजेंटिंग पर मोल, सो दैट डिवाइडेड बाय आर इनटू दिस इज 1 बाय टी स्क्वायर। 1 बाय टी स्क्वायर को अगर आपने इंटीग्रेट किया तो क्या मिलेगा? 1 बाय T1 माइनस 1 बाय T2 मिल जाएगा, है ना। और मैंने उसके माइनस को भी कॉम्पनसेट कर दिया क्योंकि यहाँ पे एक -1 आता है, वो T2 माइनस T1 होता है, मैंने उसको T1 माइनस T2 लिख दिया है।
So that is ln P2 upon P1.
Ln P2 upon P1. Okay. So what we got here is an relation between vapor pressure and temperature, है ना? So this P2 and P1 are what? Vapor pressure, right? At temperature T1 and vapor pressure at temperature T2. Yeah. So this equation what we just derived was for vapor pressure and temperature dependency. This is called Clapeyron equation. This is exactly same as that of Van 't Hoff's equation, what we learned in chemical equilibrium. Instead of P2 by P1, वहां पे K2 by K1 होता है, which is Kp, which is the equilibrium constant 2 by equilibrium constant 1. Because for water, देखो बेटा यहाँ पे देखो, water के लिए it is at equilibrium. At equilibrium, what will be K equilibrium? K equilibrium is simply pressure of pH2. That's it, right? Because left side to liquid. So vapor pressure is same as K equilibrium. That's why this Clausius-Clapeyron's equation, when you write it for equilibrium, then that will become K2 by K1, which is equal to delta H0 of vaporization by R into 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. So this is Van 't Hoff's equation. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What can we learn from here? See, if the temperature increases, ये फैक्टर क्या होगा? छोटा हो जाएगा. ये फैक्टर छोटा होगा मतलब ये पूरा वैल्यू बड़ा हो रहा है, which means P2 is greater than P1, which means vapor pressure will increase. So this is what we are learning. Mathematically, we have learned it from here that on increasing temperature, vapor pressure of the liquid increases. Vapor pressure of the liquid increases. Okay. Normally, if you do see the graph of how the vapor pressure is achieved, so you will see with respect to time, if we take a liquid, how does the rate of evaporation or rate of condensation changes? Initially, you will see this is how it will go, and at one point, this is how it would form. What does this mean? देखो बेटा, यहाँ पर ये point है at this point at which the equilibrium has achieved. This is for vaporization, this is for condensation. So आप एक चीज को notice कीजिए, condensation हमेशा एक constant rate पे आता है, क्योंकि condensation हमेशा सिर्फ temperature पे depend करता है. So when the vapor is forming, evaporation होने के बाद vapor form हो रहा है, तो वो एक ही रेट के साथ सरफेस के ऊपर मतलब लिक्विड की तरफ जाने की कोशिश करेगा. So rate of condensation will always be constant. Rate of vaporization will keep increasing and reach to a constant value. And a point will come when both will become equal. And this is the point where the vapor pressure has achieved. Clear? And this is that at this point we say vapor pressure has been achieved. Note करो इसको. Next, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Fine, beta. We'll take a break now. We'll come back and discuss further topic of vapor pressure. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.